Engage fluo injectors.
Engaging fluo injectors.
Fluo reactors at 80%, sir.
Fluo containment field is destabilizing.
Emergency fluo containment protocols now. All hands brace for impact.
Brace for impact in 3, 2, 1.
Not Diggity Damn World 1-1 podcast is back. Quick tease for the third half of the show. We're going to be talking about if Xbox is evolving and what that might be looking like. Before we go real far, though, should remind you to subscribe and share this podcast with your friends, because even if we're awful and you hated it, you can make somebody else miserable with you. Also,
shared suffering.
Exactly. I knew somebody here would get it. Anyways, also you can and should pop into the show notes and click the link and join our Discord and come chit chat with us all week long. Shout out to our awesome sponsor, Imaginary Authors, helping you up your scent game. More about them just before the break.
Choose your fighter.
I am, as always, your host, Raul to the Wall. Joining me this week are my friends, Kathleen Jansen.
Hello.
Josh the LeGroux.
Hey.
Eddie Magic Head B.
Happy Mario Day, everybody.
It is as of recording day. And the grumpiest man forced to be alive, Michael Brown.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Oh, sexy.
All right. Let's dive in with
Oh my gosh!
Video games.
Kathy, I haven't seen your face in the longest. What have you been playing?
Nothing really new. I did pick up some new games. Nightingale is the big one that I picked up that just got released, but I have not yet dived into it because I decided to dip into my wallet again and purchase. I swear, I have purchased this game so many freaking times. I bought the Legendary Edition of Skyrim for my Switch, so now I own it on my Switch. I have bought this game for my Switch, my Xbox 360, and my computer, and I just gotta talk about triple and quadruple buying games.
Welcome to World 1-1 podcast.
Kings and queens of the double dip.
Yep.
So yes.
Double, triple, quadruple dip.
And yeah, well, I was like, I want to play Skyrim, and then I'm like, oh yeah, the Legendary Edition's out, and like, oh, I should just buy it again, and I did, and yeah.
All right, quick flash round table. This raises a great question. What is your most heavily double dipped game?
Well, for me, it's Skyrim.
I honestly don't know. I think it might be. I don't know. I mean, I've double dipped so many games.
Kathy, double dipped.
It's Skyrim.
Eddie, what have you double dipped on the hardest?
Definitely DMC, Titanfall 2. Whatever. I think Cuphead I double dipped on. Goodness, what is the? No, Saints Row 3 I have. Ikaruga I have. Because I have GameCube, Switch, and I have
360.
the 360 version,
Yeah.
from Xbox One. I have double dipped on Ori and the Blind Forest and Will of the Wisp. I double dip. I got the digital versions on Xbox. I have the physical versions on Switch.
Which one have you gone back to the most for the double dip, though?
I haven't even started the Switch versions yet. I just actually played them on Xbox. Because I'm going to be going back on those. Let's see, what else have I double dipped? I know Sleeping Dogs I double dipped on for Xbox and PlayStation. Tomb Raider, all three collections. Like I own all three of the reboot on Xbox and on PS4.
So what I'm hearing is
Um,
your collection is actually half the size that it looks like. You've
The
just double-dipped
question
on
was,
everything.
what game have you most double dipped on? Not every game you've double dipped.
Yeah.
Oh, the game that I most double dipped on.
Which one of you rebought the most? Who hit your wallet the hardest?
I definitely would say Resident Evil 5.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I have Resident Evil 5 on PS3, PS4, Xbox, and I have it on Switch. So Resident Evil 5.
Okay.
I figured mine out real quick. It was
Oh.
Control. It's been Control.
Oh.
So it was for Xbox. I got it for PS5. I have it for PS4. I have it for PC. And I have the Ultimate and regular editions for both of those. So I probably bought it like 8 times.
Michael, I'm going to assume it's Darksiders.
Actually, it's a tie between Darksiders and the entire series and the Devil May Cry series. Because it's not a real Devil May Cry game unless they make me buy it at least twice.
I hate Devil May Cry 4. I could actually say the worst out of all the Devil May Cries is 4. I
No.
don't even
2
think
is garbage.
God,
No,
I miss
two
Eddie
is-
because his
two
takes are
is
just
way-
terrible.
2 is way better than 4.
You are
4 is-
so full of shit.
4 is questionable content all the way. 2
4 is
way-
questionable content, but
Yes.
it's more fun to play than 2 was.
I have fun at 2. I think I like 2 better.
Who hurt you, Eddie?
I did after playing part of 4. I was just like, I cannot do this. That means the camera sucks in that game. The respawning is insane with those long fights. No, 4 is terrible compared to 2. I'm not saying 2 is the greatest or average or anything, but I think the worst out of the series personally is 4, because to me, if I had to rank them, DMC Devil May Cry is number 1, and then Devil May Cry 5 is 2.
All
I
right.
would go with
All
I
right,
will
that's
go
fair
with
at least.
I will go with 3 for third place, 1 for 4th, 2 for 5th, and Devil May Cry 4 for 6th. That's my ranking.
What about the
Legendary.
reboot? What about the reboot?
It was number 1. DMC Devil May Cry. Legendary killed that game. I love that.
Like,
Oh, go ahead.
I loved the reboot, but I do think that 5 was slightly better.
You know, 5 is good. It kind of loses some of the plot, but got good music, good combos. I think just DMC Devil May Cry has a better story and level of progression, like the flow of it, and the combos just feel so good in that game.
Agreed.
Def-
You know my favorite part about DMC, the reboot, was
Yeah.
I went into that game fucking knowing that Virgil was going to betray you, and I
Yeah.
still got chills when it happened. It was so good.
The crazy thing about it, Michael, is that they did it so smoothly.
They
Thanks for
did.
spoiling it, Michael.
Piss off, lesbian.
Ah. But
It's
yeah.
like a 10-year-old game. You have no excuse. Fuck, with your collection, you probably own it twice.
Oh, probably do.
Look, I own the PS3 and the Xbox One version of that, which was regular, and then when they did the ultimate, like with the turbo version, good googly moogly, I love that turbo version on PS4 and Xbox One. Like, oh, that fast speed with that 60 frames per second is the best.
Yeah. It was a good fucking game. I enjoyed it. But yeah, as I said, like,
You're making me like, I might have to reinstall that game and play. It's so good.
like here's the funny thing about the double dipping. I own the Xbox One versions of Darksiders series. I don't own an Xbox One.
Do you own a Series X?
No, I don't own an Xbox system at all.
Okay. So
I
that
think-
is pretty. That's
Yeah,
pretty
that's-
hardcore.
Well, I used to. Okay, to be fair, I used to.
Twice, actually.
Twice actually. Yeah, I literally bought it. I bought one way back when because I had to play Ori and the Blind Forest. I literally bought a $300
Right.
system for a $20 downloadable game.
It now lives at
Absolute-
my house. I'm staring at it right now.
Yeah, I absolutely fucking loved it, but eventually got to the point where I was like, I'll never play this again.
Right.
Sure enough, I gave the system to Larry as a to roll as a
Wedding gift.
wedding gift, and then like a month or two later, they announced the fucking sequel because they hate me.
No, it
yeah.
was way later than that.
Something like that. Like
It was at least a year.
it was a month in Michael time, okay? But then so I ended up buying another one just for the sequel, which I still own. And then they announced, "Oh, we're gonna put them both on fucking Switch."
Now, in all fairness, Will of the Wisp on Xbox did get that super pretty collector's edition, though.
Yes.
That's the thing, though. I have the collector's edition of both for the Switch
I do
and
too.
for the and for
I
the
do
Xbox.
But the stuff in them is different.
It is.
So,
I think the stained glass Switch version is far superior.
well, that and the glow in the dark box, yeah,
Yeah, I didn't know it glowed in the dark.
it does.
All right, I'm gonna have to look at that.
For somebody that lives in the dark, you should know that.
Wow.
I think my most heavily double dipped is actually Shovel Knight.
Yeah, that makes sense too.
Yep.
There came a point where I actively said, "No, I'm not fucking doing this anymore." With Shovel Knight, like
I know I've got the physical and the digital on 3DS.
Yep.
The physical, at least on the Wii U, and maybe the digital, and physical and digital on the Switch. I've got 6 of them.
I got 3 all digital on Xbox, PS4, and Switch, and then I own the physical for Switch. When Limited Run was doing it, I was just like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I have to do it." I'm super.
That was
jealous
Special
of that.
Reserve that did that, actually, not Limited.
Oh, I thought okay. Then
Limited
I
LRG did distribution on a reprint.
on a reprint. Okay,
So,
that's why I'm jealous of Raw because of that artwork.
oh, it's so pretty.
I
It's
cannot.
so pretty.
I swear, Nomada Studios, and Kathy, I'll hand it back over to you. Nomada Studios better put out a collector's book edition for Never when it drops, because I'm going to need that. Larry, you better call, text me, send somebody to my job to inform me that is happening, so I can put my coins towards it and get it on day one. Like never, like. I'm a big fan of Nomada Studio, and even though this is gonna be their second game, Never looks beautiful, and I must have it. I must have it. It's no doubt. Okay, Kathy, back to you.
Yeah, Skyrim. There we go.
That was the yeah.
That literally could have been our subject for the night.
This was supposed to take 3 minutes.
Yeah, you invited Eddie back, so we're not taking 3
It
minutes.
was an accident, I swear. Not
Not that I haven't missed you, Eddie.
I miss you, Michael.
Nobody can derail a train like Eddie.
But it's true.
Some guys try and run trains, others derail them. LeGrew, the fuck have you been playing?
Well, I've been playing, so I've been getting into Final Fantasy 16 a little bit because I kind of let that slide. I bought it right when it came out, but I didn't really play it much. So I installed that, and I've been starting to play that on my PS5. That's really about it. I haven't really gotten. I'm only a couple hours into that game. Work this week was kind of rough. We had a coworker of mine passed away unexpectedly on last Saturday, so it was kind of the week from hell, really, with just work and then dealing with all that kind of stuff. So we got that done, and now I'm starting to feel like, okay, let's get back into games. What do I want to really play? And Final Fantasy 16 just is like glaring at me. I like want to play that. I dabbled in it before, but now I'm like, I'm going back in and I'm going to really hit it hard. So I'm loving it so far. And
Good.
the thing is, the budget on the game is incredible. Like, you can see every single penny they spent.
And Eddie, what have you been playing? 5 minutes, go.
Okay.
I gotta go to the
Far Cry-
bathroom. No.
Far Cry 3 Deluxe Edition on Xbox, Vampire Survivor 3. I'm halfway through Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice because I'm getting ready for Hellblade 2. I've never got a chance to beat it. That's another game that
Oh, dude. Wait till you get to that final fight.
I am getting prepared. I just had the discussion, and I kind of feel like for the sequel, I really want to see where they're gonna go with it, and I was gonna play with the mental state of that game, and then Final Fantasy 12. So that's all that I'm playing for Xbox. For Switch, I did the Princess Peach Showtime demo. Had some frame rate issues in the beginning, but that game is going to be super fun. It's going to be a great game to play with kids. Definitely, like anyone who like are into platformers, but might feel like platformers might be a difficult game to genre to get into, or have a hard time. Princess Peach Showtime is really a great introduction for it. I kind of was saying that, well, it has a little platinum games in it with this dodge mechanic, which is easy. Like if you're just attacking and stuff, sometimes you'll automatically end up dodging because the enemies run slow at you. So it really is a great demo for anyone who hasn't played it, but I think it's going to be a fantastic game. Contra Operation Galaga, I'm still playing. I'm loving this game, like this demo, because it's one of the. I mean, it has some frame rate issues, whatever, but I think it's have that feeling of memorization, and that what you thought the game would be is not. Like, wait for it. Really feels like they're gonna give you surprise after surprise after surprise. So be ready and be on your guard. Like, pay attention and learn about the game. I love the dash mechanic. It has a good Mega Man feel to it that I'm enjoying. So that I love. And Nobody Saves the World. It was a bundle on Switch for $12. So I picked that one up on Switch. It's the full game and the DLC. So
Eddie, speaking of like updated classic gaming, if you haven't, check out Arkanoid Eternal Battle.
Arkanoid Eternal Battle. Okay, yeah, I'll check that out.
It takes like the Tetris 99 formula and applies it to Arkanoid.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
The funny thing, Raw, is that I actually been wanting to play something Metroidvania, but new. And I know I haven't did the Blasphemous series yet. I do have Blasphemous on my Xbox, and I haven't got 2
They're
yet.
good.
But I kind of just like, man, I want to. I'm like in the mood of playing a Metroidvania, and I need to go through my Switch to see which ones I have that I haven't finished that I might restart from the beginning and just go through.
There you go.
Pretty much that's what I've been playing. I'll soon be starting Rain Code soon after I get done with Phoenix Wright stuff. So, but that's pretty much it. I know, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown I need to get back into also. That's a Metroidvania that I need to get back into.
Michael, what have you been spinning in your disc tray?
I have played 3 rounds of Tekken 8, and
Yes.
I since I bruised my ribs about a week ago, like even playing video games hurts right now.
Yeah.
So I got 3 matches in, and I was like, I can't fucking do this right now. However,
I told Zoe your old story last night, and they thought it was hilarious.
My sister just dropped off my birthday present to me today, which is the deluxe version of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So I will
nice.
probably be starting that tonight.
Glad you got the
Nice.
deluxe version. It's hard to find.
I know. She actually went through a lot of hoops to find it for me.
Great.
Aw. Your
So,
sister
yeah.
sounds like a pretty decent human being.
She's like me. She just likes fart jokes more than I do.
Yeah, that's fair.
Decent human being.
This sounds like she's somebody that we should actually all hang out with.
I think you'd like her. She doesn't. do
I'm
video-
getting that impression.
Oh, she's into video games, but more generic video games like Call of Duty and shit like that.
That's okay. I just meant personality-wise in general.
Now she's good people. Like as I said, her and I when we were kids, we didn't talk at all. Like we happened to live in the same house, and that was about it. After my little brother passed away, like 12 years ago or 14 years ago, like her and I got real close from it. So
That's good.
yeah,
I mean, it's not good your brother passed away. It's just good you guys are closer.
right.
Let's see. What have I been playing? I've been sinking my teeth into No Man's Sky for the first time, finally. A couple of weeks ago, had a date night with Bonnie, and we were parallel gaming, so we both started brand new games of No Man's Sky together. She's real fond of it, but like I said, we started new games together to play for date night a couple of weeks ago, and that was fun. I started playing it on the Xbox One that's down here that I got from Michael years and years ago now, and I picked it up on the Series X upstairs in the bedroom. Holy shit, what a difference. Like, I'm real curious to see if how the Switch version runs by comparison now, but playing it on the Xbox One down here, I'm like, man, this seems so framey. And I think that's part of the issue too, is that it's not locked. Like, if it was a locked frame rate, it wouldn't be so fucking noticeable, but man, was it. I turned it on the Series X upstairs in the bedroom, smooth as butter. Like, good to know. So, but been poking at that. I've been cracking a little more on Control. I am having a hard time sitting in for a long session of playing Control. Just I can only seem to do it in short bursts because I get real frustrated with the navigation in there. I'm like,
Sure.
Jesus Christ, the fucking office is a labyrinth, and they're not doing any favors trying to point you in the right goddamn direction. So I just end up wandering around because everything fucking looks the same.
It's true about that game that I love that game, but that is one of the problems with it. Also, I think sometimes that game gets a little overwhelming. It's the combat is samey all the time, so
Yeah.
like in the areas you're like, oh, I'm doing the same thing. Like once you get kind of like a rhythm, like you're gonna hit a guy a couple times, then you're gonna pull like something and throw it at him. It's just kind of like so what I ended up doing was kind of falling into the rhythm of just like completing like a storyline until they wouldn't let me do it anymore.
I can't even get through that. I'll find like one objective and be done for a while.
Yeah, and that's okay.
I'm just frustrated because I want to be able to sit into it more, but I spend so much time going in fucking circles because everything looks the same.
For me, it took a little while, but it
that
clicked
map
eventually.
is almost useless.
Yeah, I can see that where you would have that critique of it.
I've used worse maps, but this one is still pretty bad.
You haven't played Jedi Fallen Order or anything like that yet?
Actually, I've played a little bit of that, and I've enjoyed what I played of that so far.
The map?
It's been a while since I opened it up, but I did start it maybe a month and a half ago, and I turned it on story mode because I'm like, I don't want to fuss. I just want to play the story because the story interests me, and what I've played of it so far, I've enjoyed.
There's something about I like to call crazy maps Friday the 13th, because for people who don't know that Friday the 13th on the NES, it has a map system that when you're going one way in the game time that you're playing, you're going the opposite way on the map. So if you're running right, it's on the map. It looks like you're going left.
Yeah.
So it's just like this is this makes no sense. So when I see games that have that kind of map style and everything, I was just like, yeah, this is a Friday the 13th map.
That's another thing in the fucking control map that irritates me. The arrow that indicates your direction is not connected to the fucking character. It's connected to the camera.
Right.
I'm like, God, that's irritating.
So for
No,
me,
show me
I'll
which
be
way my
honest with you.
character's pointing.
Like, I'll be honest with you, I barely ever use the map. I especially once I kind of like got the lay of it, I just kind of just did it, and
So
that's how
here's-
I got through it.
Yeah. Here's here's one for you I think sticks out because you pointed it out. I actually have barely used the map at all on Jedi Fallen Order, but not because it's awful, but because I haven't needed to. Jedi Fallen Order actually does a really good job of visually guiding you down the right path
There's some
without
places
you
that
needing
don't.
the map.
There's some
At
places
least
that
in the
don't.
beginning, what I've played so far has.
Yeah.
Control absolutely does none of that.
No, I agree with that.
So that's there's a big compare contrast. But those I think have been the big ones for me this week. And then obviously Mario Kart 8 yesterday at the fundraiser. We had a local fundraiser event for the LGBTQ Center here in South Bend, and it was put on by Central Michiana Polyamory, which Zoe and myself run. And World 1-1 was actually attached as supplying the gear and the equipment for putting the event on, and hosted by the wonderful folks over at the Warehouse Comics and Games in Mishawaka. So go check all of them out, and we're actually looking to make this a annual event going forward is the plan. So stay tuned. In about a year, hopefully you'll be seeing more of that again, and if you're in the area, you should come and join us. But in any case, so Mario Kart 8 raised some money for the center, which is always a good thing. They're good people and they do good work. But I think that's most of what I've been playing this week. I feel like there was something. I fired up my micro and was playing some Metroid Fusion for a little while. That made me happy inside. So
I forgot to mention.
What'd you play?
I didn't play it, but I got it. I finally
What'd you
have
get?
Zelda Spirit Tracks.
Yay!
Oh, great.
My oldest found a copy. A few scratches on the game cartridge, but the case has everything in it, including
Hey.
the My Club Nintendo insert.
Oh, nice!
That's
so
good.
it's like, I mean,
Good find.
God, Club
So,
Nintendo was awesome.
that's as a Zelda fan, I have not really played the handheld ones. So
Ah.
I'm like, I get to finally do Spirit Tracks. Okay, sorry.
Hey, I'm
Good.
happy for you.
Well,
So-
if my oldest lets me play it, because technically it's their game, but
That's a topic for a later. I'll tell you guys about it later. But anyways,
sorry.
no, it's okay. Don't be sorry. You just gave me a really interesting thought, and I want to explore it at some point. But in any case, so that's what I've been playing. Before we hit the break and jump into the third half of the show, a quick word about our awesome sponsor, Imaginary Authors, with amazing fragrances for guys, gals, and non-binary pals, including their awesome A Whiff of Waffle Cone, notes of vanilla, salted caramel, and Saigon cinnamon. I've tried it. It's really, really good. Like, if it's a great summer scent for anybody, honestly. It's absolutely fantastic, and you'll just want vanilla ice cream in a waffle cone the whole damn time, which is perfect for summer. But yeah, aside from that, they've also got their wonderful candles and bar soaps. I've been using the bar soap. It's my go-to now. I've stopped rebuying my old body wash. Their soap just absolutely feels wonderful, smells great. Cannot recommend enough. So make sure you check them out. Click the link in the show notes down below. Helps them, helps us, helps you, and that's Imaginary Authors. So let's get to the third half. But before we do, let's take a quick break. And we're back. This week we are taking a dive down the warp pipe.
Oh wow, love these pipes.
And we're looking at the future of Microsoft. Not just the specific rumors that have been floating for a hot minute now, but just kind of what might it look like if they go down the road of opening up their console exclusives, their first party exclusives to other platforms, and even potentially if Microsoft chooses to exit the hardware game. Might even dip into a little bit of what happens if they decide to show Phil Spencer the door, all of which are being talked about, and we don't necessarily want to speak to the rumors, but just kind of looking at what these things might look like if they do come to pass. Is this a net positive, a net negative? So let's jump in. I'm going to start with LeGroux here because you and I have actually been having some of these conversations on the side for probably about 2 weeks at this point.
It seems
so,
like it, doesn't it? Yeah.
It does, and it's probably about right actually.
Yeah, about 10 days, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really know where to start with it because I think everybody else has talked about it at length, but I do want to just kind of what I feel about it and how I think that it's going to, stuff will start changing. Obviously, we already knew Microsoft was, if you could read the tea leaves, Microsoft was already putting stuff on, PC. They were already testing stuff on certain things on other platforms, Minecraft, that kind of thing also. However, when they start spending large sums of money, like they've been doing, they acquire ZeniMax, then they acquire ABK, and these are like $80 billion in money spent, right?
Yeah.
The bean counters are going to take notice, and that's what I feel happened. They found, especially if you looked at the last earnings report that was about a month ago, where Xbox division actually leapfrogged Windows division in revenue, and the reason it did is because of the ABK acquisition, all the revenue coming from them. So it actually leapfrogged them, and somebody took notice of that. And so now they're saying, why don't we just put our stuff on everything?
Yeah.
And I can totally understand that aspect, especially older things but I think it's going to be a whole different ball game if all of a sudden we start seeing the Master Chief Collection, stuff like Halo, Gears, that kind of stuff. And that hasn't been nothing's been confirmed yet, so everybody's kind of speculating. And now even just today, they've even said Phil Spencer had a meeting with people and saying, hey, we're not exiting the hardware market. And obviously we don't know any of that. But if they happen to pull a Sega from, what was that, April 2001, I think, when Sega finally said, hey, we're going, and I've been talking to a lot of people that are younger than me, that are this is wild. I'm this is what it was when Sega exited. It was completely crazy because they held that press conference and said, Sonic will be on Nintendo now.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And it was game changing. And then Microsoft comes out in a big way and fills that void, kind of that what Sega was filling. And I feel made the gaming, the high fidelity console market better. Personally better, because the competition is good for everybody, all of us. If they actually end up exiting that market and just going third party, just being software, I feel that it might make it a little bit worse in the long run. Not in the short term, but the mid to long term. That's kind of where I'm at with it.
See, for me, that raises the question of if they do exit hardware, who... I feel like somebody will inevitably jump in and fill the third spot, but the question is who?
My whole thing is this, is that they're pushing the streaming market hard. And you don't need a console market hard. Where PC and your phone is becoming and I've used a Backbone, and I was up in Minnesota last year, and I was using a Backbone to stream, and I couldn't believe how good it was. Yeah. And I thought, wow, this is not going to be very long until Everyone's doing this. I mean, you could stream right to your TV. You use just a controller. So I don't know if they're just putting all their eggs in that basket or if that's what's going to happen, but we're not quite there yet with internet, structure and infrastructure in the United States, especially.
Yeah.
We're not there. I mean,
shit. I've got an aunt that's way out in the sticks, and we can't get like shit for cell phone coverage when we go out there.
Right. So this is another point of the conversation, but as of right now, I can see them trying to make money, because if they were just making the $2 billion a year profit, it would take them 35 years to recoup the, Activision Blizzard game.
Cost.
Right? It's not a loss, but you know what I mean, like what they spent. And their company,
right.
Fortunately, and we're kind of in this late stage capitalism and these private companies, these public companies, is all they do is to make profit.
Zoe, you had some big thoughts earlier when we were conversating.
So my biggest thing, like LeGroux said, obviously there's no like definitive whether Microsoft is going to stop making hardware or not, but one, I told him I could understand why people are angry if, like certain Xbox things are then available to everyone, but those companies are not matching that energy. Like, there are definitely some games I would love to play on other systems, but because I prefer the Xbox like hardware, I can't play those games. And so, okay, Xbox is going to open up some of their games so people on PlayStation can play them, but PlayStation's not matching the energy. Granted, they don't have to because they aren't having the money issues that Microsoft is. Like, from a business standpoint, if they did, I would understand it completely. Like, I understand that, but they also have to understand, like, yeah, it's smart for the business, but essentially, in my opinion, you're fucking over a bunch of people. Like, and me, I feel like it's a slap in the face to their current fan base as far as like Xbox fans go. Me specifically, like, I've had a Switch for at least 3 to 4 years, and granted, I know we're kind of talking PlayStation, Xbox, and I've dabbled in it, but it's never really been my system. We got an Xbox, and I play it almost every day. I prefer Xbox, like the hardware, as the system that I go to. Like, I like when I boot up and the layout that Xbox has, for how they do things. I prefer an Xbox controller to a Pro controller for the Switch, or even an Xbox controller. Like, I prefer Xbox hardware. And so, yes, while I might still be able to get Microsoft games on another device, if they back out of the hardware game, eventually, software is going to get to a point where the Series is it S or X that we have in the room?
We have a Series X. The
Okay.
S is the digital only.
Okay, and so like, it's just going to be a fucking brick. And so then I would be forced, whether I want to or not, to pick another system. And I don't want to do that. Like, as dumb as it. Yeah. Now that's more me, because I am, I would say, unlike the three of you, I am not an avid all the time gamer. I really got to be in the mood, and honestly, playing on an Xbox is really the only thing that has gotten me back into gaming, because I just love Xbox that much. Like I said, I love the controllers. I like the type of games that they put out. Like, Halo was my first big step into gaming, and I know that that's aging you guys and me a little bit, but that was not to say that I hadn't played the older systems before that, but that was like my huge into gaming was Halo. And I'm not saying that opening up their software, they're going to take Halo and move it, but like, if my Xbox hardware is no longer there, I'm going to have to then play Halo on a different system, and I'm just like, I don't want to do that. Like, there's a feel for it. For me, Xbox is more than just, this is the piece of hardware that they put out. It's everything that, that they do, in my opinion, like, as a brand, and then being forced into someone else's hands. It's, I feel like I'm losing my consumer choice, because I won't have one anymore. And I know that other companies have done that, like you guys said, like Sega did that, but I'm just like, I mean, I guess eventually I'd get used to it. Like, I've obviously played like Sonic games on other systems and I play them just fine. But yeah, I don't know, like it would be really weird to, you know, boot up my system and like it doesn't look like how the Xbox looks like when you boot it up. Like there is a tie to Xbox for me that is very deep rooted, and so if they were to do that, like I said, it's a smart business move, but I can understand why a bunch of Xbox fans are pissed the hell off, because if it went that route where there was no more hardware and I would have to go play PlayStation, like, I don't want to have to do that. I told Rawl, I'm like, that's like telling me I can get Android on an iPhone and cool, the interface is like the same, it works like an Android phone would, but you put it on a fucking iPhone. I don't want an iPhone. I don't like the hardware. And so I feel like that makes some difference. Like, I don't like how the PS5 looks. I hate it. I don't want to have to buy something that I don't want just to play the games that I want.
Eddie, you want to weigh in?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
I can
Yes.
hear you.
Okay, so I think people are not look at this at three ways. So Xbox is not going to go out of hardware anytime soon. Whether it's PC, whether it's console, they're just not going to go out. I think people are making a big assumption of what games are coming to other platforms. With Microsoft, they have three ways that they could do it. There's like ZeniMax and Activision. Because those are big third-party games, they're probably returning back to being third-party multi-platform games. That's how those companies started out as, in a sense. I think Xbox Game Studios that Microsoft developed and created, I think those games are not going to go to multi-platform. So stuff from 343, Coalition, the Forza team, the Playground games and stuff, those probably won't go multi-platform or anything. Then for third, you got the games that are indie that Microsoft kind of maybe help publish and stuff. So Ori and Cuphead, because Ori and Cuphead hit Switch and Cuphead hit PlayStation a little bit later. So it's just like, it's those companies that Microsoft don't own, but they help get those indie games onto their platform first. Even like Spirit
Minecraft as well.
Minecraft, and even though they bought Mahjong with Minecraft and stuff, they know that if they reduce where that game could be at, that's lost profit for them. A lot of people don't realize that Microsoft is actually going to benefit. Like this, business wise, it's a win. Sony and Nintendo are only benefiting because they're getting those games in a particular sense. Don't forget, Microsoft is not making money off of their games because of Game Pass. They're making money off their service. If they could make money off of Nintendo and Sony PlayStation, why?
Yeah, don't limit your profit options.
No, and that's why I said, like, for Microsoft as a company, it's a smart move.
Right, and I think a lot of people don't realize Microsoft don't report on physical and digital sales of the
Eddie, you're chopping in and out on us.
Of what they have. Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, they report off the player base of. They don't report sales like Nintendo does. Trust me, if Microsoft could get a game on their NPD or whatever the new name is, like Nintendo does, they will be grateful for that, because that means that their game is selling. Not their game is being played, but their game is selling. That's what you want to have as a video game business. Sony would, let me tell you, Sony and Microsoft would love to have what Nintendo is going on for them. Nintendo not only having Famitsu sale numbers locked on every week, where at least 8 of their games is dominating the sales chart. Microsoft and Sony would love to have a month of that to happen. Nintendo's been dominating physical sales since the Switch came out for the last 7 years, 6 or 7 years. 7 years.
Yeah.
Microsoft and Sony would love to have that. So if Microsoft could get those games and be on that list, like Nintendo, that's more profit for them. People are just overreacting because games, if this happens, there certain games are going to be on other platforms. No, okay, yes, that's good for Microsoft. They're returning to them. So Microsoft can still be a first party and a third party if they want to. When you buy a lot of PCs, you're buying a Microsoft product because their OS is installed of it, unless it's an Apple product. Like, who else is? Linux is not putting out a product. Dell is not putting out a product without having Microsoft stuff run on. So if we look at it we're looking at it as a.
Oh, I lost you again. Damn it. All right.
Got the way of cutting out right when you want to hear what he said.
Like, I get what Eddie is saying, but part of me is
with
like,
the
There he is.
There he is.
Can you hear me?
yeah,
Yeah.
I can now.
Okay. Go ahead, Zoe. I heard you. Go ahead. Continue talking.
Like, Eddie, I agree with everything you're saying, but my thing is, this is good for Microsoft, and I think what people are getting upset about is this good also for them? Because like Gru said, like, we're hitting that late stage capitalism. So many companies, like, and I get it, as a company, like, that's your end goal. Like, you want to make money, and by golly, like, I understand that as a company. And so Microsoft doing what they're doing, like, as a company, I'm not saying they're doing anything wrong. I'm just saying I can also understand the flip side as a consumer, because yes, this is good for Microsoft, but not even hopping into the possibility that they're going to be out of the hardware game just with right now. It's like I said, those companies aren't matching Microsoft's energy. They are, is PlayStation going to release some of their, like,
No.
yeah,
they don't
and
have
so no, they don't have to, but I'm just, as a
the thing
consumer, like, I can understand why people are pissed off, and why, you buy money, you put money into this company, and then they, obviously when you do that, they can do whatever they want. And I'm not saying that Microsoft shouldn't, if it's what's going to keep them afloat in the gaming industry.
So Sony's not going to do it because they only own one kind of third party, which would be Bungie. Like, Insomniac barely put any games out on any other platform besides Sony. They put Fuse out. Fuse was the only game that EA put out that they did as a third person company before Sony bought them. It's Sunset Overdrive when Insomniac was still in. So
you're
Sony
saying that
does-
they're gonna move over third party exclusives, not
I think it's-
necessarily like
they're
Microsoft,
they're
Xbox
returning
exclusives.
back to.
I agree with Eddie in the fact
They're
that
returning
I think
back
it's
to companies.
it's going to be like
They're returning back to
centric
companies who were third party.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I do
they're
believe,
returning
like,
back to companies.
right,
Oh.
like ZeniMax.
They're
Anything from
returning
Zen-
back to me and the group. They're returning
All right.
back to third companies that they purchased that were already third party. So ZeniMax has always been PC and Xbox and PlayStation. They already been multi-platform. Activision has already been it. So those are the companies that they Obsidian in effect. Obsidian and Ninja Theory were working companies, like work for hire companies for some of these other third party publishers and stuff. So Microsoft is maybe going back to that route so that those games could sell. Because if ZeniMax is not selling games on Microsoft on it, we might as well go back to where we could get physical enough
God
on other
damn it.
platforms. Let's return them back. Let's turn it back to the way that we have brought them. But all the stuff that they have, that's Xbox developed, that Xbox created, like the Coalition and 343 and all of that, those games are shouldn't or they wouldn't show up on other people's platforms unless Microsoft decides to put it on there. That's the difference that I think people don't already might not understand.
I agree. Like, if they went the third party route, for me it wouldn't be such a big deal. I think it would, me personally, be a big deal if it was like, you know, like the group said, like if Halo ended up on PlayStation. I'm just like, no.
It
And
could be there. It just better be on Xbox too. If they still, you know. I think that some of these changes are weird because they usually happen at the start of a generation or the end of one, and we're like right in the middle of it, and so it feels like you're getting the rug kind of pulled out from you in a way, even though it might not even be true. And I do agree with Eddie, and I do agree it's going to be like centric circles. It's going to be like ZeniMax, you know, Microsoft, so in the middle will be like Microsoft published stuff will be on Xbox, and then ZeniMax published stuff will be everywhere, and then, you know, Obsidian stuff like that is going to be elsewhere, you know, other places too. And it might be interesting to see what they actually. Yeah, it would make sense. That would make the most sense business-wise. Like, obviously, Call of Duty, they're not going to take it off of PlayStation. They make like 70% of their money there.
Yeah,
you know,
right? And like, Sea of Stars. Not Sea of Stars. Sea of Thieves.
Sea of Thieves.
That's a game that was made for Rare.
That's 6 years old.
That was.
So I think I'm outdated, but like, isn't Call of Duty on Xbox? I remember playing Call of Duty on Xbox.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is. The fuss there is that, you know, Call of Duty is done by Activision. However, Microsoft has recently bought Activision and now owns Activision.
So they own Call of Duty.
Now that said, as part of that deal, Sony did get it in writing, essentially contractually, that Call of Duty will still be turning up on PlayStation. And if I remember correctly, the legal binding in that actually even gave Sony a better deal on Call of Duty on PlayStation than they were getting before Microsoft bought them.
Right. So it's a 10-year deal. And don't forget the Activision deal switched from 360 to PlayStation 4. Because after all that hubbub happened with Xbox One, Activision went with PS4 because they was getting the most sales. That's why if you look at Destiny got more content on PlayStation than it did Xbox because it was a switch. Since PlayStation 4 had so much. The Sea of Thieves is a Rare thing. Now Rare wasn't on Rare was kind of somewhat owned by Nintendo, but Nintendo sold them to
So, as much as we're getting like into good juicy meat here, we are pushing up against a time limit. So let's run around the table real quick for final thoughts, and then we'll close this out. And then maybe we'll bring this back up again when we see how things land in a few months. And we have more like concrete details. It'll be really interesting to see.
So at the time of this recording, Microsoft hasn't presented their event where they're going to come out and talk about their future business plans, which we'll probably all check out and have our thoughts. We don't. Everything is just all speculation. Everybody is just having their thoughts that because games that belong exclusively on Xbox is just going to go everywhere, and that's going to deteriorate their.
I'm assuming you're saying their brand because we just lost your audio again. So let's bounce to Zoe real quick until he gets his audio squared up.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is. Finish up.
Oh, so I'm just gonna wrap it up real quick. Because these games are going to be offered more to play anywhere, it's not going to deteriorate Xbox players getting their game on that preferred
platform.
We can actually almost know what he's
right on Xbox. Can you hear me?
Eddie, send me a written statement. I'll read it. Let's bounce to Zoe.
I would say that big Xbox titles, I'd be okay. Like, I really want those to stay Xbox titles, but if they're going back, like Eddie mentioned, like the third party route, where like, you know, someone made something that is exclusively on Xbox but was not like done by Xbox, or like a big Xbox title, because you know, going back to, you know, big thing like Halo made Xbox, like that was their huge fucking thing. And so and I do feel like consumers want something that, you know, a special, you want something that in a way you feel like, you know, you're buying into this thing. I mean, there's a reason there's a debate between Xbox and PlayStation. Like there is a reason. But I would say that I can understand this from a business standpoint, but as well as a consumer standpoint. And when you have so many people buying into your product, I feel like consumer voice should also play a factor, because you don't want to piss off your consumer base so much that then they kind of just say fuck it, especially in the time that we're living in, where so many people are willing to boycott things that they love because the people that make them or create them or whatever, they don't agree with them. So I feel like, yes, make your smart business moves, but take consumer criticism and feedback into account.
LeGrew?
Yeah, it is all kind of speculative, and that's, I wanted to like just say that what Eddie was saying. It is absolutely speculative. We don't know. It's just like what we're talking about, and obviously, like what he describes, this like the kind of the stuff that has remained third party is going to remain third. That makes the most sense. It's probably what's going to happen. I do think that a lot of people are reading in some of the, you know, craziness that really isn't really going to happen. They just don't know. So, it is kind of a bummer we haven't heard more from them, but hopefully when, you know, next week or two we actually hear some, we're going to have more questions obviously, but we're going to hopefully get some kind of answers. And that's just what, and I just want to say that too, that the communication from Microsoft is terrible, and they are basically making all the speculation happen with their just lack of anything.
Part of me wonders if they had plans to speak on it and somebody leaked some shit ahead of time and it's just caused a problem.
That's why Nintendo don't say anything.
Right.
Like
Nintendo doesn't say anything. And Sony's
like
not saying
Nintendo,
anything.
Yeah.
Nintendo just put out a report from their meeting saying that everything that you guys are reading on the internet, if it did not come from us, do not believe it.
Right.
So, final thoughts from my side here, just to put it out there, and then we'll close this down for the week. End run for me is more people playing great games is a good thing, no matter which way you slice it. Additionally, I do think if Microsoft starts letting some of their console exclusives, even some of their first-party stuff, onto other platforms, is not the worst thing, because at that point, one, that's more people playing more great games, and two, that's Microsoft getting more money back in the war chest to fuel making more games from them that we want. Yep. That's the end run for me. The hardware side gets a little weirder in terms of should they exit the space. I can see pros and cons. One, I like my Xbox. It's not even my go-to system of choice. It's technically my secondary, but I still like it. I enjoy it thoroughly. That said, part of me, just the daydreaming part of me wonders, if they exit the space, who fills in the third slot? Does anybody fill in the third slot? I think it would happen, but I don't know who or what it would look like. But it's a chance to really redefine potentially what the console market looks like, because it would leave you Sony pushing, the graphics and the hardware side, Nintendo pushing creativity. If a third competitor came in to fill that slot, there's an option to push consoles forward in a third different direction as well, that's not creativity and ingenuity or graphics and hardware, and to see what that might be really appeals to me.
It's going back to the Nintendo and Sega Genesis days. Like, it's going to be okay if they go back to a two-party system, because don't forget, during those days,
that didn't last real long though. It wasn't long before Microsoft came in.
But who was running? Because TurboGrafx had NEC had a chance with TurboGrafx. Neo Geo had a chance with the Neo Geo. What SNK?
Jaguar, right there.
Okay.
Right there.
I see it in the back. Yeah.
Atari Jaguar had a chance. Like, there's been multiple systems that had came and went, but Nintendo versus Sega, or Nintendo and Sega, stayed strong. So if we go back to a two-party system, what are we losing?
Yeah, as gamers, not much. But my whole thing is, if Sony people get a Halo or a Gears game, what are they going to do with a good shooter?
Yeah.
You know, because all they got now is Call of Duty. I mean,
right. I mean, honestly, you think about it, you know, at this point, I could see most of the Master Chief collection being able to run on my Switch. It's old enough, you know.
I think they've even ported it, honestly, to there, because talking to some people I know in development circles, that they've had running Xbox stuff on, like, PlayStation and on Switch.
Yeah. So, but that's, I think that's where we'll close this up, and we'll leave it for this week. And, post Microsoft's business presentation, I think we'll probably come back to this and conversate a little further when we have concrete information, and to do some future speculating on as well. So, with that said, I want to say thank you to everybody that tuned in and joined us this week. Thank you to all my friends for coming and hanging out with me. Thank you, Eddie, for coming back and bouncing in this week. It's been entirely too long, and we need to do this more frequently again. Thank you to LeGroux for coming and hanging. Zoe, I'll see you after we're done here. And thank you to our awesome sponsor, Imaginary Authors. Make sure you go check them out through our awesome affiliate link in the show notes down below, or on your phone screen if you're just listening to the audio podcast version of this, which is a great way to listen to this show. But we are also on YouTube. But all the links to everywhere we are in the show notes. So if you don't like this version, you can go check out the other, and you know how to get there. But yeah, let's close this out. Say goodnight, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
All right. This has been the World 1-1 podcast, powered by the World 1-1 Podcast Network. Press start to engage your mind. Peace!